You know, there was something that I just realized that was occurring, and I never realized it before, but my son is going to start dating soon. As if he hasn't dated before, but I mean, he's really going to start dating, like looking for somebody dating. And honestly, I really don't know how to feel about that. But before we go ahead and get into that topic, make sure you like, subscribe, and you hit that notification bell so you can check out all our awesome videos coming up. And definitely go ahead and check out some of our other videos. Now let's go ahead and get into it. Also, welcome to World Mr. Nice Guy. But yes, my son is starting to date. And it's different from how he dated before. Like, he would go on little dates and have fun and everything, but now he's like dating. He's at the age where dating actually means something. You know, taking a girl to the movies or taking them out to dinner, celebrating Valentine's Day. Today is Valentine's Day. Well, the day that's recording is Valentine's Day. But however the case, I didn't even ask him how his little Valentine's Day date went. Well, not date, but he got his girlfriend a gift. And I didn't ask him how it go. Did she like the gifts? Which essentially it came out of my dollar. So I kind of bought some of the gifts and he bought some of the other gifts. But regardless of the case, but I would love to understand how y'all are dealing with y'all teenagers going on dates. When do you allow them to start dating? Do you allow them to start dating at 13? Is that too young? I know there's some overprotective parents that's probably out there like, look, 13? Nah, M&G, we ain't doing 13 years old so far as dating. Now, I'll be honest. My son didn't have like little crushes and little girlfriends since he was like in kindergarten, first grade. And he'd come and tell me like, yeah, I like this girl in class. And I'm like, yeah, son, no, you don't like this girl in class. We're focused on books. That's what we do. We focus on books. We don't focus on the girls in the class. Okay, you go get your money and get your education. The women will be there. This is one of the lessons that I had to teach my son. Of the many lessons that I've showed him and I've taught him through conversation and preaching and lectures, especially the lectures on the way to school when he messed up. So I would have to sit down and have a conversation like, okay, you have to focus on your books. No dating, no girlfriends. Granted, a lot of this stuff went over his head and he completely did a 180 on me. Now, don't get me wrong. I've talked to my son about sex. I've talked to my son about STIs. I've talked to my son about the pressures that may come from his friends as well as the girls that he may be dealing with when it comes to doing sexual acts. And I had those conversations early, very early, because I didn't want to have any surprises. Him skipping school, him doing anything. And I think this is kind of where it comes in, where you kind of share with your kids about your past or some of the things that you've done and some ways of how you reacted to those things. Like, I skipped school to go and do things that I wasn't supposed to do against my mother's best judgment and will to stop me from doing those things. So I kind of had an understanding of what my son kind of was going to go through when he got in high school. I told him, I had a whole conversation about it before he went to 9th grade. And I said, listen, high school girls are different from middle school girls. You're going to get in high school, they're going to be a little bit more developed. You're going to be looking a little bit more. No, your eyes are going to stray. Okay, so this was the second thing that I taught my son before he went to high school. So the first thing was we talked about dating. We talked about how dating is nowadays and some of the expectations so far as dating and some of the things that I do in my dating is probably different from what he does in dating. Because I mean, honestly, he don't have a car and he doesn't have the financial means. But there's other creative ways that he can go about dating, like picnics and little other activities that they can do. Like I told him, like, it's easier to go on Groupon and pay for an event than to try to go pay for a whole event like a movie or something like that, or whatever the case is. Like, there's a lot of resources out there when we're talking about dating. So the second thing that we had talked about is, what is going to look like when you get into high school, because the mindset nowadays, well, not even nowadays, but the mindset when I was a kid was, I went into high school, and let me tell you, from the seniors, the juniors, like, it was amazing. I'm not gonna lie, and this is not to, I'm not trying to talk about anybody, I'm not even trying to be whatever you want to call it, but I mean, it was a beautiful sight, being a ninth grader walking into high school, and you see all the different ages that are in there, from the teachers, and we know about the teachers, to the students. I mean, it was just a lot of beautiful women from every part of the city that you probably haven't even visited yet. And it was beautiful. And I had to explain this to my son. Like, when you go in there, you're going to see all these things. You're going to have these distractions. You're walking into a very hormonal environment for men and women. Your hormones gonna be raging, and you'll be seeing all these beautiful women, whether they dress skimpy or they got their shit together. It's something you're gonna have to go through. It's something you're gonna experience. So through that experience, I need you to communicate with me about what's going on, so I can kind of filter some of that stuff out. But I really want you to kind of focus on your books. Like, education is going to get you there. If you focus on your books and you go and get your money, then you're going to be fine. And that was kind of like the third lesson, which is focus on your books and go get your money. Like, delayed gratification when it comes to the sexual part or the girlfriend part. Now, he's been on a few dates, and we've had these conversations about these dates, and I let him go on these dates and everything, and he enjoyed himself, and didn't nothing happen, and it didn't go to any other aspect that I know of. I can't say I know everything that occurs when my son go out on these dates. I know what he tells me, but I don't know everything that occurred. I knew of the women that he dated. He's talking about every girlfriend he's dated. I caught him kissing one girl at this little competition that they were at, because they was on the same team for this competition, and I seen him kiss this girl, and I was like, ooh, you over there kissing. So I took a picture of it and sent it to my mom and my dad, and they called him and they ripped him a new one. Like, that was wrong for me to do that, but I found it interesting. I was like, oh yeah, he got like a little girlfriend, and remember that lean on the wall, and she leaned in front of you, and y'all all close together and everything, and you kiss her on the neck, and then she turn around and kiss you on the lip. Yeah, those days. So I seen him do that, and I kind of downed him out. And he came to me, was like, why mama calling me about this picture? I'm like, because I took it and sent it to her. Like, it was funny to me, but I accepted it. I accepted that he is at that age where he's gonna have a girlfriend, and they're gonna hold hands, kiss, and all the other stuff that we did when we were kids. But I always wanted to maintain that open communication, and I think that's the next part of it, is communicating. You can't make it an uncomfortable conversation with your kids for them to come and have a conversation with you. And the reason why I say that is because my mom didn't make it uncomfortable for me to have those conversations, but I wasn't open enough. Like, we didn't have a communication or an open relationship where I could just go to her and kind of have those conversations to say, yeah, I'm dating somebody. Yeah, I'm actively having sex with women and everything. I couldn't just tell her that, because I don't know what the reaction was gonna be. I think my mom only had like so many rules when we did have some of those conversations, or when we had those conversations, it's normally in the process of me getting caught or something like that, and I didn't want that same situation for my son. So this is me kind of changing a narrative for what my son is going through so far as dating, and what I'm doing, or what I did so far as dating. So the other thing that I wanted to kind of stress to him about dating, and I don't know if there's any other parents that actually think or talk like this, but I wanted to make sure that if he does date, he's dating for the right reasons. He's not just making like one person his girlfriend, which he did exactly that. But I wanted him to kind of have friends and not date. And that was kind of the advice. Have friends, but don't date any of them as like they're your only one. Branch out, explore, different type of relationships, explore different type of friendships, make those type of connections, because what happens is that you start to get an understanding of what you like and what you would like to deal with. You may not want to deal with a particular type of person because their energy is off, or they're a slob, or they don't dress, or they have a bad attitude. Like, there's a lot of different things that you may not be privy to when meeting, dating, talking, because you don't live with the person, you don't see the person all the time. You may only see them at school, so you're only really seeing maybe 1 to 8 hours of that person and what they're providing and what they're showing you, and for how long did you know them. So going through high school, I told them, like, look, don't date nobody, don't be monogamous with anyone. Like, just have friends, and you just tell them up front, and be upfront and intentional about what you're telling them. Tell them that, hey, we're friends and that's it. We're gonna hang out, we can go to the movies, we can do all of that stuff, but I'm not looking to have a committed relationship. And I didn't want him to have a committed relationship because I wanted him to explore different types of relationships when it came to women, so far as friendship. And if you did want to date somebody, at least have an idea of what you actually liked, what you actually wanted. Did this particular woman have something that was interesting to you that would be on your, I would like to have this in a relationship list. Then another woman may have something that is relative that you like. It may be thoughtful conversations, it may be kindness, it may be a tenderness, but at least you will be able to explore some of those things as going through high school and understanding what you like so far as appearance, which is a little superficial, but so far as appearance, knowing what you like so far as personality, knowing what you like so far as ambition, knowing what you like so far as whatever, the type of dress that she made. She dressed gothic. Do you like goth women? You like emo women. Whatever those cases may be. I want you to be able to explore those on a level that I didn't get a chance to do, and you can just kind of weigh in on all your options and have a better idea going into, let's say, his 20s, what he's looking for from a relationship, or what he's looking for so far as somebody he wants to be with forever. And I think one of the most essential things is knowing that stuff early on is beneficial for the long run, because you can go through life not knowing what you want, but you have experienced all these people, all these relationships, and still not know what you want. You ain't gave your energy, you ain't gave your intellect, you ain't gave your time, you ain't gave your emotions to all these different people, and none of it has turned into a bona fide relationship. All of them have ended in one way or another. So I think this will definitely be helpful for him through conversation, just to be able to know that, hey, you have the ability, or you have the time and the means to have these conversations and to maintain and have these relationships. Spend time with them outside of school, and find out what exactly you like, and then you search for that. You experience, even going into your 20s, you still experience, relationships, whether they're friendships or they're monogamous relationships or non-monogamous relationships. You still experience those relationships, and then you grow from that, and you actually learn and understand this is somebody, or these are traits that I would want to have in a relationship. And I think from my standpoint, a lot of parents should have these conversations earlier on, and we should not hide our past, or we shouldn't hide certain situations from our kids, because they're going to eventually go through those same situations, and nothing is better than being armed with knowledge that can go along with the experience. And the sooner we start to stray and walk away from that, I feel like that's the harder it becomes for that individual to learn. They learn the hard way. Now, I'll be the one to tell you that I didn't have much relationship advice growing up. So I was hitting my head every which way I go. That's how I ended up with a son at 21. I was hitting my head everywhere I go. So I wanted to make sure that I changed the narrative for my son so he doesn't have to have a child at 21. He can have more options so far as going to school, doing trade school, maybe going to the military or starting his own business. And I can help him with that because those are avenues that I chose or tried to venture down and they didn't work out for me. And I kind of ended up where I am now. Content creator, I guess. So, those are the conversations that I have with my son because I understand the benefit of passing knowledge along, regardless of what the knowledge is. Passing the knowledge along so he can be more equipped to deal with some of the downsides and the pitfalls of life. That's kind of the way that I kind of go with it. So let's look at his dating life and, not my dating life, but some of the changes in dating. Way back when, dating was fairly simple. You would go to the mall, you would see a whole bunch of girls, or you would see a girl walking with a bag in her hand, you get a bag in your hand, you go ahead and approach her, try to get a number. It was fun. It was simple. You had those grounds where, you went and you did that stuff. But now you introduce social media and the world is no longer round, it's flat. Not flat earth theory, I'm not about that. But now the world is flat because you can talk to anybody, anywhere. You just, slide in their DMs. And everybody is a lot easier with passing on their socials versus passing on their phone number. You can walk up to somebody like, hey, can I hit you up on Instagram? Can I hit you up on Facebook? Can I hit you up on Snapchat? They're more willing to give that information out than give out their phone number. I know, because I walked up, like a few years ago, I walked up to somebody like, hey, can I get your phone number? Like my phone number. Like it was like an ancient relic or something like that. Like, what's a phone number? Like, you know what a phone number is? Like, something like that. Like, you know what this phone number is? Like, go ahead and put the digits in my phone. But, and it make it easier to change information now because, the QR codes, you can tap your phones together and you can just pass those contacts on and everything. So it's a lot more easier to do it. And one of the things that I kind of want to pass down to my son so far as dating is, making sure that, you still open up doors. You take flowers on the first date. You dress him for impress. You throw some cologne on. You put your best self out there, but continuously put your best self out there. Not just put yourself out there for a few months and then retract all of that and then go back to, your laid back, chill self. You was buying flowers and then you stopped buying flowers. You bought a candy, you stopped buying the candy. You was listening to her at one point in time, but then you stopped listening to her. Yeah, we want to kind of do away with some of that stuff, and I kind of want to do away with some of the ideas of, toxic masculinity and everything. But one thing I do know is that my son does have a lot of traits, a lot of my traits, which is kind of like the laid back nature, the, dare I say it, I don't care type of mentality and everything like that. Like, he cares. He's real kind and everything, but he does get to a point where he don't care at all. Like what? Like, I don't give a. So he does fall into that category. So I do try to make sure that when we have these conversations, he has a general understanding of what he's looking for when it comes to dating. Now, he may not find out for a few more years, but at least he's gathering enough information to know what he likes as far as traits and everything. Now, there are some pitfalls to this. These conversations. Now, these conversations can be taken, they can be wholesome, they can be great, they can be powerful, they can be a lot of things. Unfortunately, sometimes that even though you have those conversations, your kids go out and they do whatever they want to do. And they go out and explore and start dipping and diving and they lose themselves within it and they lose control. I understand. I've been there. I think you've been there. I think we all been there. We lose track and lose sight of the actual goal. And this is kind of why I kind of stayed on my son's head so much while he was going through high school, while he was going through middle school. It's like, look, you need to focus on the books. Like, everything that you see is always going to be around. It's not going to change. Well, I I don't know, because we're heading to 2025, and then we head into the last 5 years of the 20s, and we're going to 2023. I mean, not 2023, 2030. I guess my concern is with all the gender switching, like what's really going to be left at that point in time. And I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody, but I think dating is going to really change. Like you're going to I think they should start having a social card. And like, yeah, I kind of switch genders or stuff like that. And kind of let people decide for themselves what they want to do in that aspect. And again, I'm not throwing shade at anybody. Do whatever the hell you want to do with your body. I'm just saying you probably want to be a little bit more forthcoming about some of the things that you're doing with your body, just so the other person understands. You know, if you were a man and you turned into a girl or a woman, I think that information should be talked about prior to anything, but prior to the first date. Hey, I'm this or that, you know, or whatever your pronouns are and everything, all that great stuff. I think those conversations should definitely be had. And I think it's more so going to happen in my son's generation and his generation after him, because the standards and the norms are changing, and we're going into a different era with it. And it's more so going to affect his generation and the generation after that and the generation after that, as norms start to be eroded and, you know, become more not we as in me, but we as a society become more gender fluid. And there's nothing wrong with gender fluid. How about to say gender fluidity? I don't even think that's a word. But there's nothing wrong with being gender fluid. I think the issue comes in is the communication that is occurring or happening about whether or not you're this or you're that, and what the person's actually perpetrating. So dating for my son is actually going to be a lot different. I mean, he may want to be single forever. Honestly, I don't know. Or maybe there's some other things he could possibly do. You know, I really don't know how to approach that situation altogether. I'm pretty sure I'm going to come across some stories that my son is going to tell me, and I'm going to have some sound advice for him. And it may be, you may want to stay single, or look up dental records or birth records. I don't know. But if the transitioning rate is going to increase and become more seamless over the next 6 years, then definitely I'll probably be telling them you may want to stay single unless, you know, you're open to that type of stuff. Then, you know, feel free. I'm not going to judge him, the relationship that he's going to build or anything. But as a parent, I think that is something that our mindsets have to be open to, and we have to have those conversations about. Because I've had that conversation with my son. I've told him, I said, bro, I hate to tell you this, but your generation may be swapping genders, like left and right, and then the generation behind that is gonna swap genders, and then the generation behind that, like like each generation is. I'm not gonna say it's gonna get worse, but the norms are gonna change more and more and more and more and more as the generations get younger and as they start to grow up, and then their parents having the ideals that they have. So I definitely think it is important to have those conversations about gender identity, gender fluidity. Fluidity is not a word. Gender fluidness, that's not even a word. It's appropriate to have a conversation about gender identity and what it means for that generation. Not so much my generation. I mean, it's happening in my generation, but more so, it's probably happening more so in his generation and behind him about gender identity and gender fluidity. I don't even think that's a word. Somebody tell me if that's a word or not. But how the case is, but those are the conversations that I have, and those are some of the challenges I feel like he's gonna have to deal with, is determining, you know, if this person was born this way or if not, and the transitioning that he's gonna have to go through. Like, to think about his next 50, 60, 70 years, like, just think what he's gonna go through about 3 or 4 generations, and actually see how, like, their life and norms are changing, how life is going to change and how norms are going to be eroded away versus how it is today. And he's going to be able to experience that. I'm going to be able to experience it with him. So I'm kind of eager to see how his reaction is going to be to that. But I don't want to take up too much of your time. Well, actually, that is my time. I'm MNG, your host. It's Pharaoh Mr. Night Guy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, check out all our other videos. Check out our live. We got a live stream. Check out our live stream. And I will see you on the next recording.